Hello and welcome to our algebra course hosted by Iridium Tutoring. Today we will be going over Unit 1, Section 1, Arithmetic Operations and Negative Numbers. It is important to get the basic fundamentals of algebra so that we can succeed in the future. First, we will be going over addition. Addition is when you combine two things together to create a sum. A good example here would be that Alex has one apple and John has two apples. Together, they have three. Um, so using this sentence right here, we can come up with the formula that one apple plus two apples. So one apple, which Alex has, and two apples, which John has. And if you combine them, it equals to three apples. So in addition is shown with a plus sign as seen right here and here. And it signals that it is combining two elements. An equal sign shows that the two quantities are the same. So what that means is that 3 is equal to this entire quantity. So 3 is equal to 1 plus 2, or 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. All right, let's move on. How do we add larger numbers together without counting with our fingers? We use a column method for adding numbers with multiple digits. For example, 157 plus 434. So here, I'm going to walk you through how to add each one of these. So 7 plus 4 would be 11. So you would carry over the 1 there and put a 1 there. Then you would do 1 plus 5 plus 3, which would be 9. And then you would do 1 plus 4, which is 5. So our final answer would be 591. And if you want to write it out completely, you would have to say 157 plus 434 equal 591, just to make our work clear and concise. All right, let's move on to our next slide. Let me just erase these really quickly. All right. Now we will be talking about subtraction. Subtraction is when you take something away from a number to create a difference. Example, Gracie has 4 pairs, but Sophie takes away 2 of them. Gracie now has 2 pairs. We can show this sentence by using this example right here. 4 pairs that Gracie has are being taken away by Sophie, so you would subtract it. You would subtract 2 pairs, and then that would equal 2 pairs. So subtraction is shown with a minus sign that can be seen here and here. And that indicates that we're taking the difference of the two numbers. So 4 minus 2 equals 2, and 4 pairs minus 2 pairs equals 2 pairs. How do we subtract larger numbers without counting out loud? Again, we will use the column method to subtract larger numbers. So we will do 7 minus 4, which is 3. Then we will do 3 minus 3, which is 0. And then we will do 5 minus 4, which is 1. So our final answer would be 537 minus 434 equal 103. Just to stay clear and concise. But you can just say 103 as well. Sorry for the bad handwriting. Alrighty. Alright, next is multiplication. Multiplication is when you combine multiple amounts into a single amount. It can also be viewed as repeated addition, and when you multiply two quantities, you end up with a product. Here's an example. Andrew has 3 rackets, and Charles has 4 times as many rackets as Andrew has. Notice that in this sentence, times signals multiplication. That means that Charles has 9 rackets. This should be saying 12. Sorry about that. Multiplication is shown with a times x, or now in algebra, your teacher will ask you to use a simple dot. So you should start getting into the habit of using a dot. For example, yeah, for example, like 3 and then dot 4. All right, so multiplication is shown with the times. So here we go. 3 rackets times 4. So Charles has 4 times as many. So 3 times 4 equals, what you're doing in this case is that what this signals is that you are adding 3 4 times. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, if you add those together, that becomes 12 rackets. And here we go. All right, so as shown down there, 3 times 4 equals 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 12. How do we multiply large numbers? Here we go. So in this case, what you want to isolate these two numbers. What I mean by that is that this number will be multiplied by all 3 of these. And then after that, 4 will be multiplied by all of these. So first, you want to multiply them by 3. So 7 times 3 is 21. Carry up the 2, put down the 1. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 plus 2 is 17. Carry up the 1, put down the 7. And then you would do 3 times 1, which is 3, and then plus that extra 1 up there to get 4. Now, whenever you're multiplying numbers past this ones place, you always have to add a 0 here. And then, so for this second number, you would have to add 1 0. And then if there was another number here, like a 1, then you would have to add 2 zeros. And that's, you have to do that in any case like this. So 7 times 4 is 28. So just carry up the 1, put down the 8. 5 times 4 is 20. Add 2 to it and get 22. Put the 2 up there and put down the other 2 down here. Then you would do 4 times 1, which is 4, and then plus this 2 right here, which gets you 6. And now you get these two quantities right here. But this is not the final answer. You still have to add these two together. So 1 plus 0 is 1. 8 plus 7 would be 15. And then 4 plus 2 plus 1 that we carried over because we got the 15 would be 4, 5, 6, and then 7. And then since there's an imaginary 0 here, 6 plus 0 would just be a 6. So our final answer would be 157 times 43 equals 6,751. Just to stay clear and concise. And we will be assuming from moving on that you can multiply large quantities like this. Alrighty, let me just erase this. All right. Next, we'll be talking about division. Division is when you split a quantity into smaller quantities called a quotient. Bessie has a basket of 9 lemons, but it was divided among her 3 friends. Look, if you look at this sentence closely, you can see that the word divided signals the division. Oh, sorry about that. So division is shown with kind of a minus looking sign like this. It's like a minus sign with two dots above and below it. So to show this sentence as division, we would just say 9 lemons divided among her 3 friends, divided among her 3 friends would be, final answer would be 3 lemons per 1 friend of hers. And you can also show this without words. 9 divided by 3 equals 3. Alrighty, let's move on to the next slide. All right, how do we divide larger numbers? The symbol used on the right shows long division. By symbol, we mean this right here, this symbol right there. So this method is called long division. So the number inside the symbol is the dividend. Right here, 964 is the dividend. The number on the left is the divisor. So 4 would be the divisor. And the number on top of the dividend is the quotient. This is the quotient. And remember, when doing division, we're trying to find the quotient. So your final answer will always be the quotient right here on the top. Now, knowing all this information right here, we can reconstruct how the original division actually looked like. The original looked like 964 divided by the divisor equals the quotient, 241. The remainder after dividing is the number left over if the number does not divide evenly. So in this case, after doing this entire process, you would not get a remainder. The remainder would just be a 0. So that means it divides evenly. So for this algebra course, we will assume that you are able to divide large numbers. I can just run you through how you do this. So what we're doing here is that 4 times 2 equals 8. And then we're doing 9 minus 8 to get 1. Then you bring down this 6. And then 4 times 4 would be 16. So you're just subtracting 16 by 16. So when you do 4 by 4, bring that down to here. And then subtract this and subtract this and this, which leads to a 0. And then you would do 4 times 0, and then you have to remember to bring down this 4 right here. And then 4 times 1 would be 4. So you would just subtract 4 and 4 right here to get a 0. That means it all divide evenly, and the remainder is 0, so we don't have to do anything else. All right, now we will be talking about negative numbers. A number line represents all real numbers. It's just a line that extends forever with certain plot points and numbers, as seen right here. So examples, the point on the line could be anything: 1, 3, 5.5, 234. Here's a better way to view what's on the number line. Negative infinity, that means that from 0 to on the left, it can go negative infinity, and then from 0 to the right, it can go infinity amount. So if you look down here, any number less than 0 to the left of 0 on the number line is a negative number. Anything to the left of the number line is negative. Anything on the right would be positive. Negative numbers are denoted with a negative sign, just like the subtraction sign. Operations with negative numbers. Addition. When adding negative numbers, follow the signs. Example, -3, -2 plus -3 would equal -2 minus -3, which would just equal -5. There's actually a better way to show this process. It would usually be like this. And what you're doing in this case is you're just adding these two negative numbers. You're just adding -2 and -3 to each other. So if you do 2 plus 3, that would equal 5. And since they're negative, you would just add a negative sign right there, and it would be -5. All right, let's move on to subtraction. When subtracting negative numbers, make note that the two negatives cancel out to a positive. So this is what I was talking about. So for subtraction, this sign and this sign would just cancel out, and it would become a positive. So it's a little bit different than addition, but it's almost the same. So this would become -2 plus 3, and then if you just add those, that would equal 1. Because in the, what we're essentially doing here is just doing 3 minus 2, which equals 1. And right here is the diagram for it. Let me just erase this quickly and move on to the next. Now we'll be talking about multiplication with negative numbers. When multiplying negative numbers, make note that the two negatives multiply to a positive. If it is a positive and a negative, it will multiply to a negative. What we mean by that is that if you look at this is a negative number, and this is a negative number. And you're multiplying it by this sign right here. Usually in algebra, you would use a dot, but right now an X is fine. And basically what happens is that these two signs just cancel each other out. So it would just be 3 times 4, which would just equals 12. And then the second sentence that we mentioned here is if it's a negative times a positive, 4 is the positive here and -3 is the negative here, it would always result in a negative number. So -3 times 4 is essentially what you're doing is just 3 times 4 and just adding a negative sign in front of it. All right, lastly, there's division. When dividing negative numbers, make note that the two negatives divide to a positive. If it is a positive and a negative, it will divide to a negative. So this is the same rules as multiplication. Just in this case, you are dividing. So if it's a negative divided by a positive, the answer always will be negative. So 8 divided by 4 is 2, and then you would just add a negative sign because it's a negative divided by a positive. And in this case, you're doing a negative divided by another negative. And so what you're doing is 8 divided by 4, which equals 2. And you're just canceling out these two negative signs. All right, here are some practice problems. So just pause the video and see if you can work through these. All right, great. If you're done, I'll move on to the next slide. Here are the solutions. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and please tune in for our next video. Bye.